Merch. One thing that really stood out to me from watching Chloe Zhao's new film Nomadland is that almost every scene involving a character is shot in eye-level close-up. On the surface, it makes sense because most of the characters are non-actors, and shots like this go well with the realistic documentary-like atmosphere the film emits. It also puts a lot of emphasis on the character's inner state, which readily creates empathy and a sense of emotional connection that's needed to maximize the film's intended tone. But then we get a shot like this. In fact, we get a lot of these when Fern is on screen. There are different reasons for central framing a character in wider shots. It can be used to create tension, order, and even humor. But in Nomadland, it's primarily used to highlight Fern's surroundings, as the film's most compelling stories are told not from a person, but through the spaces that surround her. As much as it may seem that way at first, nomadic lifestyle isn't a form of escapism for Fern, but of genuine liberation from the past grief and loss. Indoor spaces are often cluttered with documents, packed with people, and either shot under dark lightings or, at best, monotonic fluorescent lamps, generating a sense of suffocation and enslavement to the characters within. The camera will often move frantically, lacking certainty and focus, and will always accent the enclosing walls and ceilings before accenting the intimacy between characters. On the contrary, every scene of Fern's nomadic adventure is organized and controlled. We move on from the hectic movement of the camera to more composed and stabilized shots of outdoors. The flavorless tone of the office is replaced with vibrant colors of nature. Objects and people are more spaced out, allowing the characters and the audience some room to breathe and observe. And even when they're closely gathered, the openness of the space around them only intensifies their shared affection. No matter how big the space and how caring the people, Fern will always seem trapped when indoors. But this isn't to say that the scenes featuring enclosed areas are irrelevant to her journey. For one, the shot compositions remain rather consistent for all scenes, regardless of the location. After all, there are scenes like this, where everything is quite flat and oppressive despite taking place outdoors, because Fern is technically working, not exploring. It's best to consider them as a repeating pattern of contradictions that reaffirm the beauty of nature, and to be more precise, as a visual extension of Fern's character. And that's why the shots that feature indoors and outdoors simultaneously are especially striking to the eyes, and are only reserved for the most pivotal junctures of the film. Speaking of the film's transformative points, there are 5 major scenes of Fern on the road that are similarly paced and composed. Each moment acts as Fern's visual advocate, painting her indescribable state of mind through the beauty of nature. As Fern introspects about her own motives and desires and eventually comes to terms with her past, the scenes make a full cycle, starting from dawn all the way to evening until eventually going back to where it began. With each stage of the day, and as Fern advances with her personal evolution, the scenery progressively becomes more beautiful and sentimental. At first, everything is dull and uneventful. Every aspect of nature falls under a unifying color scheme and gets lost in the sea of aridities, exactly like Fern herself, who lacks confidence in her life path. But as Fern opens up to the world and to the people around her, the neighboring spaces display more unique characteristics with tunnels, animals, rivers, and a vivid set of colors that distinguish itself from the previous image. The tranquility of the setting sun reflects Fern's determination to move past her pain and start anew, and the echoing image of the dawn signals a new chapter in her life. The very objective spaces, therefore, function to portray the very subjective expressions of Fern, remodeling the surroundings to something unique to her and inviting the audience to simply watch and assimilate this melancholic silhouette of life.
It's like my dad used to say, what's remembered lives.
Therefore, the film, like the rising and setting of the sun, also looks to be in a loop, repeating itself with the same set of images over and over again. But as we've seen, these vital images of nature are constantly maturing and thus never identical. As a matter of fact, everything in Nomadland is evolving with time, no matter how similar they may appear. They reiterate the value of living for yourself and not complying to the social standards. They reinforce Fern's growing internal freedom. And at times they hint at her estrangement from society. As people describe the significance of leaving traces of their memories on their body with tattoos, we intrinsically understand that Fern has no interest in such reminders. Instead, she wishes to become that very trace itself, the trace of existence within the infinitely grand universe. Like how the atoms of the stars that blew up eons ago can be in our hands in the present, and like how an ordinary household item can carry stories of people through time, she hopes to feel that eternity the universe offers through nature. Indeed, there are trees bigger than our eyes can see and older than our history can tell. Sharing can be a stinging step, as sharp as the thorns on a cactus, but a step that eventually heals. We are but a speck of dust and our lives a dot on a piece of paper. And Fern realizes this secret. We only miss the subtle differences in the repeating scenes because we don't know how to look for them. And so Nomadland offers a chance to learn and tells us that we too can find moments of perfection if we cherish the smaller things and just look.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely, more temperate.
So we
North
look.
winds do shake the darling
As
bud
Fern
fair,
recites
and
Shakespeare's
summer
sonnet
seas have
18,
rolled to
teaching
shore.
us of her past life, we recall the quote that was told to the audience in the beginning of the film.
Kinda.
Mm-hmm. You remember anything that we worked on when I tutored you?
Yes.
The soliloquy from Macbeth, a story of how life is painfully short, exhausting, and meaningless. Future holds no aspirations, and the present no joy. But as the speech itself implies, life is still full of action and events, no matter how bleak and empty. Fern eventually finds purpose through these tedious episodes of life, learning to live for the day given than the day to be.
Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, and all of our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle.
Her home has vanished the moment she lost her husband, just like how Macbeth has lost his love. But from the start, the film was telling us that no matter how sad her journey is and where her next destination is, she is going home. Hello everyone, thanks for watching my video. Nomadland is probably one of my favorite films of the year, so if you haven't watched it and somehow still got to this point, I highly recommend you watch it. And apart from that, merch is available right now at bonfire.com/store/Spikima. We're doing a 2 weeks launch special, so if you are a self-proclaimed cinephile or if you just want to support my work, you can check out the link below and get your hoodie, t-shirts, or the lovely mug cup you saw in the beginning for reduced prices for the first 2 weeks. So thanks again for watching, and that's it from me.